Shout out to all my conscious writers out there. It's your boy Ian, aka the Writing Renegade, here today to talk about quitting your incomplete projects. So, we all have them: the incomplete books, the incomplete reorganization project, the incomplete careers that we'll never master because we don't care, the incomplete relationships that we're just sitting in because we think we need to. They are out there, everybody. These are plaguing us. They plague and are time vampires that are preventing you from changing the world with your art and organizing people to spread that work and to also organize people to do that themselves, because that's what your work should do. It should inspire others to follow in your footsteps. But it is a lot easier to have an incomplete project, an incomplete business idea on the table than actually sitting and doing it, because doing it requires of movement up in consciousness. It requires us to stop looking around horizontally, stop worrying about what's going on around us, and do something, put our heart into it, and then send it off. Finish it, publish it, start it, share it, whatever it is. And until we can, and incomplete, people think that incomplete projects are good. They're like, man, I have 8 half-written books, or I have all these different things going on. But every single incomplete project you have is an open loop in your brain that is creating decision fatigue, mental fatigue, because all that's going on. Every single piece of trauma, every single person you still blame, and every single situation that you don't take 100% responsibility for being a part of is an open loop in your brain. So that, in combination with a ton of creative projects that aren't getting done, is a disaster. And that's why some people wallow in procrastination for their whole life. That's why they are victims to time vampires their whole life, because they don't have the tenacity. They haven't activated themselves enough to sit down and finish something. Sit down and hit the publish button and share something. And like we talked about yesterday in the video, posting something on the internet is the ghost of being done. It's good to start getting an influence, but actually finishing large scale projects, and not everything on the internet's like that, but just posting a little thing on the internet is a lot different than creating a full on course for the internet. And all of us have the potential to do long form creative stuff, even if it's working with your hands, doing stonemasonry or something and building something. That takes time. That takes hundreds of hours to get done. And what are you going to choose to do with that time? Are you going to sit and play video games, or are you going to sit and build the skills that can turn you into an awesome character? So everybody, that is the main topic of today. And the further that you go along on the trail, if you've started this path and you're starting to write, maybe you've released a couple works, the harder it gets sometimes, because you may think it's going to be easier because you have a routine and all these things, but the resistance is still there. The voices in your head that are being negative are still going to be there the whole time. It never gets easier. You just become more accustomed to it. And if you take time off, and once there's more pressure, and once the voices that are in your head right now, the only people that care are you and maybe a small fan base. But what if you have 5 million people one day? How are you going to handle that? What is that going to do for your business? If you accomplish all of your goals, how are you going to take all the negative criticism if you can't even take the negative criticism from yourself yet? So this all kind of connects. Like, people who aren't doing anything are caught in the void. They're caught in a state where their consciousness isn't leaping out from the unconscious. They're just dwelling in the unconscious. Then we have a group of people who are just, so let's talk about the two group of people. There are people out there who don't take any action at all. They say, I'm going to do this, and they never even get started because they're just way too dreamy and way too spacey. Then there's the other group who are like type A, fire sign type personalities, and they have all the stuff that they're doing, but none of it ever gets complete. Both are imbalances that create procrastination, and that's what I'm trying to break today in this segment. So let's go about a process. Like, for instance, I have this sci-fi space western that I started, a novel 2 or 3 years ago, and I have like 30 pages of notes on this thing. But the other day, I spent like an hour typing all of those notes on a Google Doc on an email I never used, and now it's on there. Now it's gone when I'm looking through my fiction stuff because it was in my fiction folder, like my work in progress note taking folder with a couple ideas that I'm working on that are going to get completed. And it was sitting in there. I'm like, I should do this. And it's like, no, I shouldn't. I do not want to write a sci-fi Western right now. That's not the order. There are 15, 20 other books I need to get through before that one. And that one may come back up. So I had to say that so there's 3 different things you can do. You can either say or 4 different things. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to wait a little bit then and do it. Oh, I'm going to take some time off, but I'm going to leave it in my space. Or I guess there's 5. I'm going to kind of sequester it away like I did. Or 5, I'm going to drop it completely. But the way and the solution to get more shit done is to either do a 1 or a 5. And if you come up with an idea and it's not a 1, then don't even start it. Like that sci-fi Western, I should just delete all of it. Because if it's not go, then it's not right yet. Write down the idea, but don't focus on that. Focus on what you need to focus on and get that done first. Even if that getting done, so pretend you're working on a project right now and you're stuck and you're feeling stuck. You don't need to, if you're writing a novel, let's say right now, you don't need to get that thing published in Random House. That may be a later book. And if you're really struggling and things are going great, then maybe just wrap things up. Maybe just, finish it, have some fun with it, do some fun revisions, and release it for free. Start an email list and release your book for free. And if it's a good book and people are going to like it, and that's going to give you some more traction in the future. And then you can move on to something that seems more inspiring. You can call for new ideas. And those are going to be the ideas that are going to work. Most novelists don't get stuck for months or leave things on the shelf for years that they've actually started and put some time into. Sometimes they do and they get an idea and they don't do it for a decade, but most people don't do that. And you're no different. You're not the one. And if you are, then good for you. But we don't cater to that on this channel, on the Creative Motivation Podcast and in that mindset. So everybody, let me know about your incomplete projects. What's going to be your approach? Are you going to drop them or are you going to keep them? You either have to work on it or you're going to have to drop it. There's all that stuff in the middle, but I wouldn't recommend doing that at all. Pick your projects wisely. It has to come from the heart. Let it come from the heart and then whittle through it in your mind. And your heart can give you some bullshit too. Sometimes you need to sift through it and see, did it really come from my heart or did it come from my mind, my soul, because it's hot outside, because I ate a piece of cheese earlier? You need to really be scientific in your approach about some of these ideas and why you implement them. Because some ideas are maybe they're hard ideas. They're not they might not be the full picture. They might not be the thing that you need to ship out. They might just be an idea you need to explore as a stepping stone or just something that you could release for free or for a nominal fee. So everybody, that is my concept. Let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know what you guys are doing, what your master plan is with all the incomplete projects you have going on right now. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're really organized and you're not like me and you just have one thing going on at a time. That would be great. This is Ian. I will see you guys later. Peace.